Welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We have news stories for you today. Two major developments for Kamala Harris, and they are not good. The first one is young voters, and CNN did a segment on this yesterday or day before, I believe. Anderson Cooper was talking to John King about it. And if you look at the screen here, you can see I'm not going to play the whole clip for you, but in 2020, Joe Biden won younger voters. I believe they have 18 to 35 or something like that. 61% to 37% for Trump. Obviously, that shifted big time when Biden was about to drop out of the race. He was losing to Trump with this cohort. Typically, Republicans do not win this group. It was not unusual that Trump lost it, although he didn't do terribly with it. But now you look at Kamala Harris, 45% to 45%. She is tied with this group. Now, this does not come as a surprise to me. I've talked a lot about on the live streams about how those I interact with my age, at least where I am here in Florida, there are so many young people who are supporting Trump, mostly young men, I will say, not as many young women as men, but Trump has a huge following with young men. And the only question is, will they come out to vote? There's a lot of stories out there about 65 plus voters, older voters, not going for Trump, and the numbers that people think they usually do go for Republicans. And there are many people waving a flag over that, particularly Ryan Gerdusky and others saying, wait a second, these numbers are way off. Republican candidates never lose this cohort of voters. I happen to believe those numbers probably aren't as far off as we tend to think they are. I think there are a lot of boomers who are buying into the J6 narrative, and they typically watch mainstream media. So Trump may not do as well with those older voters as you would expect, but he may be making up for that with younger voters. If he indeed ends up getting 45%. Now, this poll, by the way, I believe was in Michigan, but if it's in a swing state, you can kind of see that this is, where things are going. If he ends up getting 45% of the under 30 or under 35 vote, that will be a huge accomplishment for him. And that bodes very, very well for him because that is Kamala Harris's coalition. That's the Obama coalition that turned into the Biden coalition. That, in fact, was too the Hillary Clinton coalition. There were other factors that made it so that she did not win that election. But it is true that if Trump can get over 40%, remember 37% he had in 2020, not a terrible number, but not what he needs. If he can get above 40% in that age cohort, tremendous news for Trump. If he can hit 45, that's incredible. And it probably points to a Trump victory incoming. If he can hold those 65 plus voters to a certain number, he doesn't need to win them in the amount maybe that Republicans have in the past, but he still needs to win them. And I still do think he'll win them. Those polls aren't exactly accurate. So this is huge, huge news for Trump. Again, I'm not going to play the whole clip. I don't want to get dinged for copyright or anything like that. But John King essentially explains in this clip how this is a really bad news item, bad polling data for Kamala Harris if it is true in Michigan. Now, something to note in Michigan, there are a lot of young Arab voters in Michigan. A lot of them do not like the Biden administration, how they've treated Israel, or at least how they've treated the Palestinians, and kind of their wishy-washy stance on the conflict there. So there are a lot of Arab Americans, and CNN just did a story about this. A lot of younger Arab Americans are not going to vote for the Harris ticket. Will they vote for the Trump ticket? Well, that remains to be seen. But a vote that doesn't go towards Harris, that usually goes to the Democrat candidate, is a plus for Trump, even if they don't come out to vote. So this is a huge, huge news item. It's an underreported story. And the reason why I'm making a clip about this is because I have talked about this on my live streams over and over and over again. It doesn't seem to be getting the attention it needs to be getting. And that is that Trump is doing far, far better with young voters than is being reported. And sometimes you hear some stories here and there about it. But I think if Trump ends up winning this election, we may look back and say that young men had a big role to play, young people in general, but in particular, young men. Thank you for watching. I'm going to keep updating you with all different clips, and we'll go live every now and then. Trying to go live most nights if there's big news. Even if there isn't news, I'll try to go live too, just to update you on the polling. Polling market odds right now are exactly tied 50-50 between Trump and Kamala, if you're following that. And CNN also has Trump's chances to win now, if I saw it correctly, at around 68% chances of winning the Electoral College. I think they have Trump at 48 and Kamala at 49. More details on that soon. I'll make a separate video about that. There's also another article that came out. I forget the publication, but it was talking about how the poorer voters and the poorer districts around, in and around Philadelphia are shifting to Donald Trump. And if Trump is going to win Pennsylvania, he needs to do better in Philly and the Philly suburbs, unless he's going to run up the score in all the rural areas, which he still could do. But there's a very vote-rich areas in that Philly, in the whole city, in the suburbs ringing around Philadelphia. So this is a very interesting story. I'll make a separate video on that. You can go watch that on my channel. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. You can click the button in your bottom right hand of your screen. Click the bell so you know when I go live. Thank you for your support. God bless, and I will see you soon.